Everybody, Raven fans, Oriole fans, thank you for joining us this week on the oh oh move around a little bit there. Thank you. There we go. Thank you for joining us here on the Ravery Sports Podcast for fans like me. Like and subscribe to all of our social media content. If you like content like this, you can join us on all of our pages, our YouTube channel, our Twitch channel, our Twitter page, which has a lot more subscribers now these days, and also to our Twitch or YouTube, Facebook page. Right. So definitely watch us on all of our social media cameras. Thank all of you that have ever watched these videos. I really do appreciate that. I mean, I looked at some of the numbers now. We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds in there, and into the thousands now of people who've watched. So thank you. Thank you very much for joining us this week on the Ravery Sports Podcast. We appreciate it here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get down to the business of the NFL. So let's go ahead and get squared away. So we had a Ravens game on Thursday last week. So Ravens were successful in the game last Thursday night against the Bengals. That's the final score, 34-20. Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens were successful at the bank, wearing those all black uniforms to go ahead and getting a victory. Now, good record here now going into the final week here. Definitely too, John Madden would always say, this is the time of year. You want to go to Thanksgiving, put yourself in a position to make a run. This is a run. This is the time of year where now it's time to go ahead and compete now for that number one seed Super Bowl this time of year. How is our fearless leader, Lamar Jackson, 16-26, 264? I thought he bounced back great in this one. Bounced back really well. I thought he never plays two bad games in a row. He rarely plays bad games anyway, but definitely not two bad games in a row. I thought Lamar was great in this one. I thought he was fine. 2 TDs. I thought he was probably the reason why they won. Hobbling, only concern here, if I have to go negative a little bit, Lamar and hobbling around a little bit. So that's a concern considering his injury history. John Harbaugh during the presser said he's fine. He should be ready to go Sunday, banged up. Look, gets through Sunday, get a bye week. He can kind of heal up a bit for the stretch. So making it through this week would be huge, I think, for Lamar. Gus Edwards, they're using him great in the goal line. I think like all year long, I mean, definitely now, they're definitely running stuff for him late in games at goal line. They're definitely doing that at the end of games or even during the course of the game. Short yardage are definitely. Edwards has been really good this year down at the in the short yardage. They've definitely used him. Going to see a lot of Keaton Mitchell still. Haven't given up quite yet on Justice Hill, seeing him. So definitely that's a thing going forward. Those of you who have been waiting for a big OBJ game, you got it. 4 catches, 116. He's going to be a bigger focal point because unfortunately we did lose Mark Andrews for the season. I'll get to more on that after this. But 4 catches, 116 for OBJ. I think OBJ, I've heard all the wash talk, the cook. I don't really see it with OBJ. He's no longer the focal point. I mean, that's for sure, like he was when he was younger. It's definitely. And I think Todd Monken's offense. But, I mean, he's definitely – I mean, he looked really good, I thought. And he's looked good in a couple games. I think, like – but – he's not going to eat like he used to. He's not the player he used to, but I think that some of it, I think as much of it is the fact that he's just not, the offense just doesn't do that as well. A lot of tackles. I think this was the first game where I can remember at least where Patrick Queen had more tackles than Roquan Smith. Patrick Queen 11 tackles. He's been sensational. I really think here's a guy in his about second year. We were questioning whether he was good enough to start, whether this was a pick, was a bust, whether we should sit him down, et cetera, et cetera. And he's gotten better and better and better. This is one of the top 10 free agents, I think, in free agency coming out. So outstanding stuff by Patrick Queen in this one. Joe Burrow, 2 weeks in a row. I said this last week. I said this about Deshaun. So Joe Burrow, that was the last game of the season for Joe Burrow. Out for the season. Banged up bad. His hand looked terrible. 20 for 34, 213. Once he went out, that was it. They didn't have any more change. I think that's probably the thing for the Bengals the rest of the season. Burrow, this is their main guy. I think this is probably one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. They're not going to have him. Huge loss. We had one too, obviously, but they had an even bigger loss in this one. Joe Mixon, solid again, 16 carries, 69 yards. This is what he does. I mean, Joe Mixon. I'm just still so shocked he gets no real, kind of like Jamal Lewis, really. He just kind of like, yeah, you're a good back, but we don't need to call you elite. We don't need to call you. He's really good. Joe Mixon had a decent day, not a great day. Tanner Hudson, that is right. Not Jamar Chase, not Tyler Boyd, and not T. Higgins, who didn't play, was the top receiver tight end. 4 receptions, 49 yards. That tells you how good the Ravens corners are, how good that defense is. Good job by the Ravens defense. Jordan Battle, 12 tackles. Again, Logan Wilson, a lot of times is the top tackler on their team. He should have been thrown out of that game for that foolishness that he was doing. So they're talking about even banning the tackle. But that was the top tackler, Jordan Battle, for that. So Ravens were successful. They're clearly the better team. This is not Cincinnati's year. Cincinnati, I think, even more this year than in prior years. They were more reliant on Joe Burrow. And I do believe in this one. That was it for them this season. They're not going to go past the Ravens. Possibly they get into the playoffs, but I think that says it all for Cincinnati. I mean, they got work to do in the offseason. I'm going to say this as well. The Mark Andrews thing, don't believe what Harbaugh said that he's coming back, guys. I saw that everywhere today. Well, there's a chance. No, there's not. Well, you guys remember the movie Dumb and Dumber? And Jim Carrey's talking to the girl, and he goes, "Oh, well, do I have a chance with you?" Well, it's 1 in a million. She tells her it's 1 in a million. Well, you're saying there's a chance. That's what John Harbaugh did to you guys. He's not coming back, guys. That's a 3 to 6 month injury. On the low end, it's 3 months. So I'd be shocked if he does, but that's kind of what John Harbaugh does with these injuries. He kind of like, well, there's a small chance. Now, he didn't over-embellish it when I saw it, but I mean, he did make a point of saying it. Well, there's a small chance. Come on. I don't buy that for a second. All right, let's get to the Chargers game. So Chargers 4-6, 8-3. Ravens, we've got all the way to December, and finally the Ravens have got a Sunday night game the week of Thanksgiving. So considering how good they are, I'm a little surprised it's taking this long to get a Sunday night game. Lamar, this is what he's done this season. He's an MVP candidate. 24-41 as far as yards, 12 TDs to 5 interceptions. I think he's going to have a hard time winning MVP. That TD total doesn't get to around 20. I think he's going to have a hard time doing it. I think that's just my opinion of it. That's going to be hard to, even with the rush yards that he gets. He's at about 18. He's going to have to get that to at least, I think, 21, 22-ish to go ahead and be an MVP candidate, even though he's been sensational all year except for the fumbles. I think he's had a fabulous year. Gus Edwards, 10 TDs rushing. That's fantastic. Excellent in the red zone. I think you're seeing a lot of Keaton Mitchell. You're seeing less of Justice Hill now. I did see that. I didn't notice. Far fewer carries for him. But I think, again, Harbaugh likes to spread it around. We know Coach Harbaugh likes to not use the one guy. We know that's what he's going to do. He's going to spread it around. How much bigger is Zay Flowers now going forward with no Mark Andrews? Who's going to be the guy who's going to pick up that slack for Mark Andrews? The security blanket for Lamar Jackson. So Zay Flowers, the rookie, going to do more. Is it going to be Beckham? We will see how that goes down the stretch. Good receiving core. I would say we all feel a lot better as Raven fans this year if that had happened last year. Keep that in mind. Like if they're trotting out James Prochet, et cetera, on the receiving core, you got no Andrews. Much bigger difference. So definitely Justin Matabuke. Still no Ravens last year, even though last year we came close. Last year we came close with a guy getting 9.5 sacks, the same number Justin Matabuke has. Finally, somebody besides Terrell Suggs is going to get 10 sacks. Justin Matabuke again, like Queen. Let's see how expensive he gets. I don't think he returns. I don't know the way it's going, the way he's going. That's going to be a lot of money they're going to have to spend to keep Justin Matabuke with the season he's had, but he's having it this year for us. Justin Herbert, very interesting. If the Lamar Jackson isn't a good quarterback, if you don't think that, you do think Justin Herbert is. 19 TDs, 5 picks, 2609 as far as yards. Throwing 4 game. Justin Herbert has been really good this year. Interesting to see what happens with him. You wonder why he doesn't win more games. He seems to do everything right, but the 4 and 6 and the 10, they don't win close games. I don't know. It's weird. It's very, very strange. That's why like Brandon Staley's in so much trouble on the hot seat, because you wonder why you can't win more. Austin Eckler, 102 as far as carries, 396 yards. Down season in some ways for him. Still a very dangerous guy. I wouldn't like to. This guy is great in the open field. Austin Eckler. I think he's got a lot of burst still in the open field. Probably not going to get that extension, but he is a really good threat for them out of the backfield. This guy, the only thing I think that's going to keep him out of the Hall of Fame is all the injuries he's had. Every year he's really been healthy. He's been good. Old pitcher Brett Saberhagen for the Kansas City Royals a long time ago. It kind of reminds me of Keenan Allen every year. He's like, one year he's really good. Next year he's really bad. One year he's really good. Next year he's hurt or he doesn't. That's kind of what Keenan Allen's career has been. He's had a good year. 83 catches, 1,011 yards, 7 TDs. He's been fantastic for the Chargers. Basically, this is his receiving core. Quentin Johnson has been worked out. Mike Williams has been hurt. This is his group here. Joey Bosa, last game, goes out on IR. Went off on a cart. Maybe they get him back this year. We don't know. But Khalil Mack's been fantastic. 11 sacks. Again, how is it that you're 30-something in defense and you got these two guys on the edge having good seasons? Now, obviously, you lost Bosa. You got Derwin James. You got this guy. How is that? How is that a real thing? X factor on offense. I think it would have been too easy to say Isaiah Likely filling in for Mark Andrews. Now the rest of the way, Rashad Bateman, I think is an X factor. I think that we'll see. Maybe at some point we'll see. But can Rashad eat more? I think he's kind of been the lost guy a little bit in terms of that. Can he do more with more time on the field? Probably is going to get. Is it going to be more 3 wides, etc., without Mark Andrews there? X factor on defense. We just talked about Keenan Allen, how good he's been. Brandon Stevens across from him. That's exactly what I would do too. Let me tell you something. I haven't seen Brandon Stevens' name in the best cornerback in the league conversation in the Pro Bowl. It belongs there. It's been terrific. Boy, oh boy, was he playing the wrong spot at safety. I absolutely think Brandon Stevens has been good. Whether Humphrey plays or not, that's who I would line him up with. Brandon Stevens has been fantastic this year for the Ravens. Ravens not going to lose this game. Chargers do not win close games. They make too many mistakes. Ravens really have a shot now. 9-3, they could be going roaring into the bye. I don't think they overlook the Chargers. It's not a tough home field. It's a cross-country game, but it's late in the day at night. So I like it. I like it a lot. 9-3 for the Ravens. I think they win by a touchdown. Chargers defense is just not good. I would say, though, there are parts there. They do show up sometimes. So definitely keep that in mind when looking at this game. So there you go. All right. So we got that squared away. So enjoy the game. Sunday night at SoFi with the Ravens going ahead and playing the Los Angeles. I'm not going to say San Diego. So for so many years, it was saying San Diego. So the Los Angeles Chargers out there. Big five biggest games on the schedule that are not Ravens games this week. So we're going to go over all the big games on the schedule. Big Thanksgiving schedule, so it's a little different for you. So definitely keep that in mind as well. 3 games this week on Thursday. Thanksgiving, I just wanted to tell everybody out there while we get a chance, thank you everybody at Ravorisports Sports to go ahead and thank you for joining us always. Find one reason to be thankful. We're all going through very difficult times. I mean, we're definitely going to acknowledge that a lot of people are going through a lot of hardship, a lot of struggles. Definitely I have, a lot of my family has, and et cetera. So want to thank you very much for joining us this year at Thanksgiving. So there will be games on Thanksgiving. So find one reason to be thankful, all of you as well, to go ahead and get that squared away. I did forget at the beginning, so for the first time. So let's go over this. Genesis Notary Services / Facebook. So definitely keep that in mind. Genesis Notary Services. Definitely you can book a session with us on our website as well. ravorisports.gmail.com, ravorisports.company.site. The reason why we're here is we want you to know every week about our website where you can buy Ravens products as well. Definitely keep that in mind. And at the end of the year, 2023, on New Year's Eve, we're going to air our best of the year video. So definitely the best of the Orioles, the Ravens, all MLB. We're going to do that at the end of the year. So we forgot that as well. So let's get to football Big 5. Okay, got that stuff out the way. Thanksgiving and the business as well. Big 5. 2 teams I think might play in the Super Bowl played on Monday night. The Eagles and the Chiefs. Eagles is not an accident when you win 9 ugly games. They know how to win close games. They are physical. Run the ball. Look, it doesn't have to be pretty to be a really good team. Somebody understand that. They don't have to be physical to be a good team. You have to be physical. You see it in college football a lot. Teams, they want to have all these wide receivers. And that's the problem USC's having. That's the problem Colorado's having. That's the problem the Terps are having. You got outside guys, but you got no beef. The Eagles definitely have it. Kansas City, what's the problem? They got no receivers. That's obvious. This is kind of what I expected last year. They don't have it. They don't have it up front. I would say this too. Nobody's talking about the lack of run game either. They don't really have power running. They got Pacheco, who's good, but he's really small. They really can't, in spite of that, and you saw the difference with the Eagles. When they need to, run it down your throat. Chiefs struggle with that too. So you got receivers, kind of not as good, and run it down your throat. Oh, I thought the Steelers Browns game was kind of fitting. That was an old school game, like a 2000 ish AFC. No, it looked like the Ravens and the Titans. With that, we'll get to more Steelers and those teams. Those teams are here, but that was a very fitting, very fitting in that as well. Good stuff. Got to watch more football too this week because there was no Ravens on Sunday. 49ers and Seahawks. This is the game that's going to be on Thanksgiving night. Seahawks now hosting the Niners. Pete Carroll, I think two of the better coaches in the entire National Football League here, going against each other on Thanksgiving. This is going to be closer than what people think. I think the Seahawks, it's easy to say, well, the Seahawks are going in the wrong direction and the Niners are going in the right direction, as good as the Niners are. It's a big difference, their offense with Trent Williams. It just is. Brock Purdy has looked good every game they've went ahead and had him. I like the Seahawks here. I do. I think they're kind of lost a couple close games. Their offense isn't as good, but I think like this type of game is right up their alley, where they got to play physical. Team like the Niners, they have a good offense, but they're not like Miami or Miami or something like that, where they got to score 30 points or anything like that. I like the Seahawks in this game. I don't know if they win the division, but they definitely had to, and I think they're going to have to play with a sense of urgency here because they want to get in the playoffs. They're going to have to win a game like this. I like the Seahawks in this one. I think the 12s too. I think also too, it's easy to pick a home team. I think that's one of the better home field advantages in the entire NFL, the Seahawks have. So I like the Seahawks in that one. Steelers and the Bengals in this one. Steelers, they fired Matt Canada yesterday as the offensive coordinator. They've really struggled. I've been defending Pickett a little bit for the Squeals. I have. That did not look good last week. That was a quarterback that was, you could argue that he got outplayed by DTR, and that guy's not your answer either on Cleveland. So he didn't play well at all. I really think he's going to have to show up. Bengals have problems too. They got no quarterback either. They're going to definitely play a backup. I don't think they beat the Steelers. You can say whatever you want about Kenny Pickett. I would say this for the Steelers. This is a tell. This is a huge game for them. Look, you get rid of the coordinator. You're definitely playing another backup quarterback. Even though it's a road game, I really think this is going to be one of the. This is going to be big for his future too. I think if he stinks it up again, there's going to be a lot of Steelers fans that are gonna want some more change there, even though they got rid of Matt Canada. So I do think they win though. I don't think Cincinnati without Burrow. I don't see it. Defense, they're back in. The Ravens were just having their way with their secondary in this game too. So I think the Steelers, if they can get it squared away. Here's a game for first in the South: Jags and the Texans. These might be two of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. CJ Stroud has been very, very good all season long. Along with, we know how good Trevor Lawrence is. I actually kind of like the Texans here. The Jags, as good as people say they are, and as good as there's something missing for me. I keep saying that. It's hard to even put my finger on it, but it's something like not missing in terms of them being a good football team, because they're certainly a good football team, good quarterback, coach that's one. I mean, so they have a lot of those things. They just to me look like they kind of feel like, I guess, the Orlando Magic, to use a old basketball term, like the Orlando where the Magic, they had Grant Hill, they had all these guys, they had Dak, but oh man, it just. I just feel that way. And the Texans, they're just playing with house money. D'Amico Ryans reminds me a lot of Mike Tomlin when I see him. Just an energetic defensive guy, and he's got a good quarterback, and it's working. They seem to have something there where he's going, and the players and everything believe in him. I like the Texans in this one. I think they go ahead and win. Browns and the Broncos. They're turning this around in Denver. I can say this. I got to admit, Russell looked good at the end of the game. I think what Sean Payton is doing, he's trying to turn him into Drew Brees. I noticed everything he did. A lot of this was short and quick. Get the ball out quick, get it out fast. Let's get it out accurate. That's what he's doing. Kind of simplified things. He is taking the ball out of his hands a little bit. This is not going to be the same Russell, not quite as effective, but they just got to score some points. Last year they were scoring none. Just more and more, though, they're getting some points. They're in playoff contention. No question about it after that horrible start. Browns, this defense is phenomenal. Myles Garrett is about unblockable as you can possibly get in the league. They are fantastic, I think, on defensive line. I think the linebacking group is underrated. Denzel Ward in the corners. Defensively, I like them on all levels. That quarterback's not going to work. They're starting DTR. That's not going to get it. The announcers kept trying to say he improved from the Ravens games, I guess, but I haven't seen him throw the ball downfield yet. I don't like him. I like Denver. I don't think Russell Wilson will not do what Kenny Pickett did. I think he outplays. I think he outplays them. I think they won a very close game. That'll be similar to what you saw last week if you watched the Steelers and the Browns. And this is probably the game of the day again. Tough game for the Eagles against the Buffalo Bills, who were successful last week. I don't think this one is close. I like the Eagles. I think the Eagles won a lot of close games. I think this will be more decisive in this one. I think they'll be a little bit more decisive. Buffalo, we don't know where we're getting every week. I don't know what the heck is going on with Diggs and all that stuff that's going on. Defense not quite as good. I'm not sure with Buffalo. I can't be as confident with Buffalo. The defense isn't as good. I know they won against the Jets, who really have no quarterback. I don't think they win a game on the road against the Eagles, and they have a tough stretch. So I absolutely like Philadelphia in this game. There you go. So big five biggest. Five biggest games on the schedule that are not Raven games. Enjoy all the games. Thanks. So enjoy all the games this weekend. All right, so let's go ahead and shift gears. We're going to stay with football. We're going to talk a little college football. We're going to get to a couple things today, a couple topics as well. And the game down in College Park where the Terps went ahead, did lose to Michigan, 31 to 24. Terps had a lot of fight in them in this one. This one didn't go their way, but I thought I absolutely saw a lot more fight in the Terps. I thought this was even in a loss, the best defensive effort I think I've seen the last 2 weeks. The defense, I really criticized the defense after the Penn State game all season. They were way more aggressive in this one, at least that much. And they scored. They still had some trouble. Because I think they're just not on the same level talent-wise. But at least you were fighting in this one compared to what we saw there. To his last game as a Maryland Terp in College Park, 21 for 31, 20. He had 2 INTs. I don't think this was his greatest outing because of the 2 picks, but I think he was. I think he kind of plays the same game a lot of times, and I think like they were kind of ready for it. That's what caused the picks. I would like to see him at times go downfield more instead of uh, with the dink dunk all the time. He kind of like just kind of stays with the slants and things like, kind of take more shots downfield at times. Roman Hemby, 11 carries for 35 yards. They didn't run the ball a lot in this. This has kind of like been the case down the stretch here with them. They kind of haven't run the ball nearly as much, except for the Nebraska game, when they were kind of playing against the wishbone, etc. But they really haven't run the ball nearly as much in this one. I think that's got to run the ball more. This is not just Maryland. I kind of see this with a lot of teams kind of forget to run the ball. Prather, I think, was the best day. They've had 3 really good receivers this year. Jay-Sean Jones, Caden Prater, and Ty Felton have been about 3 parts of a whole. They've about equally, which is something you rarely see. One guy kind of maybe breaks out. They've all kind of even across the board. He's kind of the bigger guy, Prather, the outside guy, kind of. Felton's kind of the also guy, and Jay Sean's kind of the slot, the speed when they need it. So yeah, they've all been good. He's been good pretty much all year. Somebody said that Bro Braid was the best defensive player, because he was all over the field. Yeah, you haven't been watching all the games. I think he's easily been their best defensive player all season long. He's consistent all year long. He had 11 tackles in this one. I absolutely believe he's been their best player, most consistent, most fundamentally sound in this one. This guy did not look like a number 1 pick, first round pick rather, in the draft. Something's missing with me with McCarty. I don't know if he's going to be Kyle Bowler at the next level. That makes any sense. Looks the part, throws a gorgeous deep ball. Has all the ability, and then too many times I've seen him kind of look like that. He just wasn't good. 12 for 23, 1 pick, really didn't throw the ball a lot, considering how not good the Maryland defense has been. Gotta see a little bit more from him. Blake Corum, I think, is fantastic. He had 2 TDs, 28 carries. They ran the ball a lot, and I think that's what you do to beat Maryland. Like, they're not really super stout up front, and that's probably the strategy that I would use. Just run the ball. I think that works. I think Corum he didn't have as good a day as he had the last time. This is kind of what they did last year in Ann Arbor when they played Maryland. Just kind of just run the football. So that makes sense to me why they would do that. So yeah, they ran the football. Maryland couldn't do anything with Blake Corum in this one. The receivers didn't have a great day. Loveland had 3 catches, 36. McCarty wasn't good, so the receivers kind of got lost in the sauce there. They didn't need it. They kind of hit Maryland in the mouth in this one. That's how they won this game. Junior Colston had 8 tackles. A lot of tackles for a lot of hard physical play. Look, Michigan is, I think, in terms of the reason why I think they're going to win the national title, is that they're basically more physical. I think they beat Ohio State. I think they beat Georgia. I really believe this is the best team in the whole country. And that's why I was kind of impressed with the Terps showing despite the loss. You don't want to big up a loss too much, but at least there was fight here. They're playing a really good team. That can happen, that you don't come up on the right end. Terps have 1 more game left against the Rutgers Scarlet Knights before we find out which bowl game they are going to. So definitely they're going to a bowl game. Most likely not. This win may get them in closer to New Year's Day bowl. We will see. Major bowl game outside possibility, but most likely early. Something like they had last year, Duke Mayo Bowl or something like that. Is probably on the horizon. And we will talk a little bit about the Rutgers game next week, as well as we talk about that. Terps basketball. Terps not off to a good start. Jameer Young, I think, was good in the UMBC game. I thought that kind of looked like a more aggressive Jameer Young. And this one, that's what they're going to have. Now you're playing UNBC in the last game, so it's not as good of opponent. They had a couple games at home. Villanova just cleaned their clock from start to finish in that one. So um, I would say this. I think they need to go back to him on the ball. It looks like him and D.H. Smith, the freshman, been kind of switching. Uh, I, it may not work. I don't think he can play like that. They need Young to score the way he was scoring to do that. I would say Julian Reese is going to be their second scorer the way it looks. Julian Reese, I think he's their big sort of. He's kind of their big, but he's not real big. So he's going to be the guy that is going to be their second scorer this year and get that taken care of, get that squared away. I think he's pretty much that's the way it's going to go if they're going to have success. Have Julian Reese go ahead and be their second scorer. DHS, pretty good so far. He's had the ball a lot. I think he's the number 3 scorer so far. They're trying to. I can see it though. They want him to do more. It's sometimes I have a problem because he's basically playing the same position as Jameer Young. I think he might really evolve more after this season, after Jameer Young leaves, but they're basically similar. So they're just trying to find their way. I think that's part of the problem. So still very early in term season. Let's see how they do. A few weeks they're going to play Indiana. We're going to go more in depth with that. Indiana, that will be their first Big Ten game. So we will definitely talk more about that. All right, so go ahead and thank you for that. Definitely check out Maryland basketball as we go forward. Rest of the scene. Hopefully the Terps can get into March Madness. All right, we're going to shift gears, talk a little baseball here. 2 quick notes before we get into our American League East discussion here. Zach Britton apparently is going to go ahead and call it a career. So after 12 years, most recently with the Yankees, also with the Orioles several years, definitely he's going to hang it up here. So thank you very much, Zach Britton. I gotta tell the truth about Zach Britton. Gotta think about every time I think about Zach Britton, I think about a couple years ago when they were in that playoff game, the Orioles, and Britton was the closer in that one game playoff. And we lost the game, and there was no Zach Britton. I still don't understand to this day about Buck Showalter because he had a good closer out there. Zach Britton, look, this was a guy whose career could have really went left. Had some injuries, really didn't do as well up to expectations as a starter, and he became a really good reliever. So good for him. Zach Britton is now moving on to other things outside of baseball. Right now. Kyle Gibson signs with the Cardinals. So we just found that out yesterday that Kyle Gibson is signing with St. Louis. Free agency starting to happen a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and talk about these things like that. Now we're recording this on late Tuesday night, early morning, however you want to call that. As far as that goes with the Orioles. So maybe there will be more free agent signings when you're seeing this. Only reason why I'm even bringing that up there. But Cardinals, hey, they signed Zach Gibson. They signed Lance Lynn. Interesting to see which direction they're going. Here's a team that finally had a losing season after 15 years. Orioles, again, more importantly, 2 straight years now, they've signed a guy. He's pitched well, and they've let him go after 1 year. So I think we're going to see who the significant Kyle Gibson signing is this year. So we've been talking Orioles in the offseason. So I think in any sport, there's a couple things. You want to win more games than you lose, first goal. And the second goal, I think, is to win the division. So in order to win the division, what's in the division, right? So in order to win this division, what does the Orioles division look like? The American League East. It is. A lot of teams there, Orioles won the division, so they are looking. Everybody's chasing the Orioles right now. So, but we know better than to think that this is not a good division. This is a really good division, the American League East. So, what exactly is going on? So, we're going to go over each team a little bit. We're going to talk about the Yankees. We talk about the Red Sox. We're going to talk about the Rays, and of course, we're going to talk about your Baltimore Orioles. The Yankees, unfamiliar territory here. Not at the top, not near the top. So they were towards the bottom. I think the Yankees, believe it or not, I think more than any other team, I think they have the furthest to go in the offseason. Their offense is not good. They got a lot of guys. Stanton contract's not looking good. Donaldson contract wasn't looking good. LeMahieu was underwhelming. I thought the best players you see it there. Aaron Judge, Rizzo, I think is still decent. Gabriel Torres came along. Their pitching is not terrible. I think Garrett Cole, I think, has had a Cy Young season. Obviously, Clay Holmes in the bullpen. I think they're ways away on offense. The good thing is, hey, they're still the Yankees. What do they need? They need outfield. They need starting pitching. They need relief pitching. You could pretty much just put that for every team. I think they're going to be in on Shohei Ohtani. Of course they are, because they're the Yankees. They got all this money. I don't know if he signs there. It's impossible to predict the Shohei thing, what that's going to look like. I don't think it'll be the Yankees, but I think they'll be in on it. I think the Japanese pitcher, look, this guy, I heard a rumor. I don't know if this is true. Every team met with him except for Baltimore. That's insane that the Orioles didn't pick up the phone, because every team in the league is clearly interested in him. He's 25 years old, Japanese pitcher. I think the Yankees will absolutely be in on it. Blake Snell isn't a possibility for the Yankees. Blake Snell, I think if they strike out certainly on the Japanese pitcher, I could definitely see that one. Blake Snell signing with them. I don't think he goes back to San Diego. Matt Chapman, I think, might be one of the best offensive players they got. They need offense bad. Their offense is not going to get it. Certainly not Josh Donaldson. That's not going to work. Cody Bellinger, I think, is the other really good offensive player out there. I think they're definitely being on that. I think they're going to kick the tires on that. Bellinger definitely revived his career, bet on himself, and it worked. He was outstanding last year with the Cubs. Jordan Montgomery, no question how good he was down the stretch. I think they'll definitely do that. I think more likely he signs with Texas, but I'm sure the Yankees will make a nice offer. Jun-Hoo Lee, definitely an outfielder from Korea. Definitely, he's one of these guys. Look, couple of Asian players available this year that got posted. The Yankees are definitely looking at offense. Definitely anybody who can help them on offense. I think a Juan Soto trade is not out of the question as well for them. So we will see what the Yankees do. I think they have the furthest to go. But I think they can do the most because they're going to spend so much money. Here's a team I think is still really attractive, the Red Sox. I don't think the Red Sox are that bad, considering they didn't win the division. They do have pitching issues. That's definitely for me. So definitely starting pitching and relief pitching, they definitely have a little ways to go. They definitely need some help in the outfield as well. And that's a thing here for the Red Sox as well. See how they go in free agency here. Shohei, I think, definitely can go to the Red Sox. I don't know if it's likely again, but I definitely think they're going to give it a shot. The Japanese pitcher, they have a couple of Japanese players on their team. I definitely believe that the Red Sox will give that a shot. Blake Snell, a lot like the Yankees, they're definitely going to get in on that. Bellinger, I think a lot of teams are going to want him. Jordan Montgomery, Sonny Gray, I think is absolutely. They're going to need pitching. I think their idea of going and getting a pitcher, they're going to go a little deeper. Sonny Gray, I think Sonny Gray's been good for quite a while. He's been good. I think when he stays healthy, Sonny Gray is a good, solid David Cone-like pitcher. David Cone, old pitcher for the Yankees in his prime. Eduardo Rodriguez for the Tigers, I think, is in play. They may sign, go ahead, two guys in the offseason. And a very interesting, Marcelo Mayer, How do they upgrade as well? Top 10 prospect at shortstop as well for them. Let's see if he goes ahead and plays for them at shortstop, or if they go back to Trevor Story. If Story stays at second base, so they move him to second base. Interesting to see if he's ready to go. But he's definitely one of the top 15 prospects in all of baseball. Who's already there? Rafael Devers, I think, is fantastic. Yoshida, I thought, was a good rookie. Maybe you need him to step up. Same with Tristan Cassis, I thought had a good rookie year. Trevor Story maybe needs to bounce back. Let's see how he looks for a year. I think absolutely healthy and whole. I think he's one of the better players. Kenley Jansen still hanging in there. He's going to be 38, and he's still fantastic as a closer for them. I don't think they're looking at a closer. They got Kenley Jansen. I think it's a good price to get him to. Alex Cora is their manager. So, Blue Jays, they're kind of stuck in the middle here. A good team, maybe if they were in a bad division, but they're in this division, so it's not necessarily going to help them a whole lot here. Let's see how good they do in this division here. I don't think they spend quite as much. They need help at third base. Possibly, you're going to need help at second base. You're going to need outfield. You're going to need a DH possibly, because I think they're going to be losing some guys. If you could keep Matt Chapman, obviously you don't need third base. It is going to be very expensive. Let's see if they take the strategy of they're going to keep Matt Chapman and they're going to spend a lot of money and keep him. That's going to be very interesting to see what they do there with Matt Chapman. Cody Bellinger, I absolutely think they're going to give that a shot. I mean, Bellinger, I think, was one of the better players. Look, Bellinger was fantastic last year. I absolutely think they're going to keep him. Pitching, I think Rodriguez, is on the. I don't think you need a top level guy here. Think like a complimentary guy. Rodriguez, I think, is definitely a guy. I think he's definitely moving somewhere. That's definitely it. Hey, look, now DH, Brandon Belt, you may not have him back. Justin Turner, I think is definitely they're going to kick the tires. Jorge Soler, 36 homers, I think it was, for the Marlins was good. Look, if you don't keep Matt Chapman, you're going to need third base. Candelario, I think, not quite as good. You're going to look at Suarez. You're going to look at Eugenio Suarez. I think those two guys. Outfielder from Korea, I think, is definitely the possibility here. Who leave again? I think all three teams I can see in the East in on that as well. Ricky Tatman, the AAA pitcher, top prospect, and I think he is going to place Alex Manoah. I absolutely think, by the way, he's going out the door with everything. No chance of that. Vlad Guerrero, not quite as good last year. Bo Bichette, got to keep him healthy. Springer, their top of the rotation, I think, is good. Kevin Gausman, the former Oriole, and Kikuchi. I think that's actually good. They have a good group of starters there. And plus that guy, the young guy, Tiedemann. I don't think they're going to be spending too much money on pitching. They may add somebody like Rodriguez if they like him, but I don't think pitching is so in need. This team is going to add pitching. This is going to be, look, no money. This is kind of what they do. They kind of add really good starting pitching. That's the only thing I even had up here as far as their free agency and trade targets and things like that. This is what they're going to look at. I think it'll be a mid-tier guy here for them. Although they may need more than one, since there may be changes coming as well. There are a lot of times because of definitely the finances of the franchise. So I think Eduardo Rodriguez, I think, is them. Yes, Jack Flaherty. Yes, the same one we had. I think they'll look at that. Marcus Stroman, I think, will be interesting for them. Michael Wacha was pretty good last year for the Padres, as quiet as this kept. Kind of like everybody's talking about Blake Snell, but Michael Wacha was good. Lucas Giolito was there as well. I think they grab two starters like that. They're going to grab two. They certainly, like Baltimore, doesn't have the money for the high-end starters, the big money starters, but they're going to definitely look at two kind of middle-tier guys like that. I think maybe at least one, but maybe two. And coming out this year, other upgrades, Yoger G. Camilleri, he's going to go ahead and start for them. I think he's a top young. Look, they get these young players and get them. Curtis Mead is another one. Top pick every year. The Rays have good young prospects coming up. They have two really good infield prospects that are coming up. Shane McClanahan, you're probably not going to have him all season. Tyler Glass now, he's going to make $25 million. So definitely it's possibly something like that. So they're possibly looking to deal him because they can't afford it. Zach Eflin was the free agent signing last year. He was outstanding for him. Arzuna at left field, Yandy Diaz, and I don't know what the situation is with Wander Franco, if he's ever coming back. I know this too. Kevin Cash is an outstanding manager. I think the Rays don't miss a beat. They have a system. They know what to do. They work it. They have an outstanding manager. I think they stay near the top and your bottom RLs. Winning the division, no question about it. I don't think the Orioles, I have really hoped. I've heard and asked and looked and read and hoped, okay, we're going to do something. I don't think they do much. I do think they do need starting pitching. I think they need the front end starter. I don't think they're not going to spend money for it. So I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they're going to. I think you'll see a middle tier starter. I think what you are going to get is Jackson Holiday coming up. I think that's going to happen. He's going to start, I think, a shortstop for you. Maybe not right in not September, April when the season starts, but he's going to start. Who's there? Adley Rushman, Gunnar Henderson, Santander. Interesting. Same kind of with Glasnow. If you talk about that, $12 million. That's a lot of Orioles money. So they may deal him. I think if they get an upgrade veteran, I think that's the route it's going to go. Mullins, I think, might be more attractive. I think maybe they deal him as well. These outfielders, I think, are going to start. Hauser, well, I don't know if they start, but I think they'll definitely be on the roster. Kyle Bradish was their best pitcher last year, and you're not going to have Felix Bautista at all, probably at least until after the All-Star break, maybe around August or something. You'll get him. Brandon Hyde was the American League Manager of the Year. There you go. All right. So thank you very much for joining us this week. Definitely check us out. Check us out online on all of our products at ravorisports.company.site. Check out all of our merchandise there. Thank you for joining us for the Ravery Sports Podcast. You have a great rest of your day.